I know a guy, he spent $3,000 the first freaking day he turned his freaking system on. First freaking day, he spent $3,000 in API hold,
The reason why I'm laughing is James knows this story, but do you remember about like 2 months ago, everyone was talking about OpenClaw and stuff like that. I was like, this is incredible. Like I'm sitting looking at my the Mac Mini that I went and bought. So I spent about a week setting this thing up, and I'm like, this is amazing. I can chat to it when I'm in bed, whatever. And then I ended up running it for like, I think it was like 3 days or something like that. And then I looked at the API bill on Claude, and I realized, oh, it's like £700, so like $1,000 for 3 days. So then I quickly realized I can probably hire like an army of developers for what it would cost OpenClaw for a month to basically run.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
I mean, because there's horrors. I mean, I know a guy that hooked up his OpenClaw to his Gmail, and OpenClaw sent all his freaking contacts a freaking email at 2:00 in the morning, and the guy didn't even know it. And it was just like, dude, so there's certain things that I'm still the old school guy. I still don't have a hey Google freaking thing in my house or anything like that. So. But I learned very quickly that there's certain prompts you've got to put in to make sure that you're getting rid of all the leaks, all the freaking crap that happens. Spring training, I built the spring training app pretty much about 3 months before the conference. And then it sat 2 months, and I got a bill from Replit, and it was like $900. I was like, okay, that seems a little high. So I went in and looked at my dashboard, and spring training cost me $350 just sitting idle. Because I had connected my spring training app to the city of Chandler, which is where we host our event, to bring in all the restaurant information. Well, it was pinging that every night at midnight. There's no restaurants being built every day. like, oh, shut that sucker down. So, but yeah, it is shiny syndrome like crazy right now. But people are also starting to think outside the box, which is also pretty exciting. So. And I really like going to my clients now and saying, hey, how can I help you? And so I built a CRM for one of my big commercial HVAC clients. I think right now my total hard costs, I'm into it for about $2,000, and I sold it for $20,000 and $400 a month in maintenance and management forever. And yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Guys, do you want to go deep on technical? Or do you want me to ask a few more?
No, I think Terry's gonna share his screen and show us how to vibe code.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you kind of how I do it. For sure, because there's actually, it's funny too, because I just started a new project last night. One of my clients really struggles with form fills. Their forms keep breaking. Has nothing really to do with us. He's got so many third-party connections in there. Anyways, I built a tool last night that I can plug in any single website and I can test their contact forms. Because no business owner ever checks their contact forms. They just assume everything works all the time. And so that's one of the things that my client recommended. Hey, you should build this. And I was like, okay, cool. So I built it. But I think the biggest thing that, is the plan. I mean, if people don't have a freaking plan before they start to build, not only are you going to go down rabbit holes that you didn't mean to, one of the things that's frustrating about any kind of vibe coding is keeping it on track. Okay. So when you start a project and you have a goal for that project, for instance, one of the two things I'd never do in Vibe with any of the apps that I do is I don't take payments. I don't, do any kind of the finance stuff or anything. I still do all that offsite and then bring them in after they pay. But the one thing that I've seen people do is you really have to be careful about, what you're going to do and how you're going to do this, because now all of a sudden, if you want to connect Stripe, now you're down this Stripe rabbit hole that vibe coding is going to keep recommending things to do, and you got to say, whoa, back up. I got a project that I built. Gosh, this thing was probably second or third project. It's been sitting on the back burner because this thing got so freaking big. this thing will run my entire agency, but that's not what I wanted. I didn't want that, so it's on the back burner. And I've since built 2 or 3 other tools that are in there. So I'm probably going to kill that one. But the biggest thing is that you stick to the plan. Like I said, I build in Claude. I don't build in Claude Code. I don't like Lovable. I like Replit. Main reason I like Replit is I like the security of Replit because that's where I host. One of the things that people struggle with is where to host these things once you're done. And I've tried DigitalOcean with applets. I've tried, Amazon buckets. I've tried all kinds of different things. And I found it not only easier to update and maintenance and manage if I keep it at Replit and host with Replit on my domains, but Replit's security system is the best I've ever seen. So obviously, Brian Cato and all my security people that we're all friends with, I sent Cato my spring training app to check the security in it. And he's like, dude, this is freaking awesome. So that's the biggest thing is have a plan. So when I go into a system, let me see here, hold on. Let me see which one I want to do. I want to show that one. Okay, I'll show this one. Okay, so one of the things as an agency owner I struggle with is bookkeepers. How many people have a problem with bookkeepers? Bookkeepers, accountants, all those type of people. We've been through 5 bookkeepers in the past 3 years. One of the most frustrating things. So I decided to go in and build something. So this is something I'm not planning on monetizing, so I'm happy to share. Hold on, slides, whatever, I'll share screen. Get this out of the way. Windows. Hold on, where am I at here? There it is, right there. Perfect. Okay. Well, I should blow this up so you guys can see this. Perfect. Okay, so basically when you start these things, especially in Claude, ChatGPT is also good at it now. So basically I just start a conversation. I'm interested in building a bookkeeping system for Solterra and its other companies here, and then moving it to Replit. How should we do this? So I know how to do this, but I want Claude, especially since right now they went to Opus 4.8, which I'm not really a big fan of yet. But Opus 4.7 has been really good for developing software for it. So, and then I just start asking it questions, and then it just starts coming back and asking me questions. So the cool thing about doing all this is it's just a process. So I think I probably spent 4 hours in Claude building this system. And then once I take the system, then I can take it over to Replit and I can start building it out. But one of the things is, it comes back and it does all this stuff. And then you start, yes, let's build it out using Solterra logo and branding. Please watch Claude limits. Everybody knows about Claude limits. Well, if you tell Claude to watch its own limits, it'll watch its own limits. So, that's a very important prompt when you're building these things. So it just goes through all this stuff. And then it comes up with, this was the first blueprint it came up with.
Terry, I've got a question for you. Is that just a regular chat that you're in, or is that like a project?
No, this is just a regular Claude project. I have everything in projects. And then, it's just I build a new project for a new process or a new app or whatever.
I see.
If it's for Solterra, I put it in the Solterra projects. Solterra's got a bunch of projects. And it'll come out, it'll start spitting stuff out. So this is kind of all the stuff I need to put into Replit. So, but it's not ready yet. So we continue. Let's continue to build. No need for the Replit file yet. Look at this from an award-winning bookkeeping company. What's missing? What will make this better? Can we connect FreshBooks, QuickBooks, banks, PayPal, etc.? And then it goes through and just starts doing all the stuff. Okay, so it comes back and does all that crap, blah 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 blah. And then it'll come back and it'll say, okay, go for it. Watch our Claude limits. So it'll come back and it'll make recommendations of what I want to do. Then it comes back, interrupted. So we will not be invoicing or collecting any payments with this system. So this is important to tell it. If you're not planning on doing this, this is important to tell it at the very beginning, because it will assume you're going to be collecting payments and doing all this stuff. you don't even want that crap in there. It's code you don't even want in these projects. If you decide to do payments and stuff later, you can do that very simply. But just don't build the stuff in and just have it hidden, because then you're kind of wasting code space. So it just comes through.
Just a quick one while you're scrolling down, Terry. Do you know when you keep saying please watch Claude limits?
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking that so if your limits cut out, it wouldn't stop the task? Or are you watching it to just try and save your tokens?
Yeah, no, I just don't want it to stop the task. That's the whole thing. So, and I've never had it stop. So I've had it condense and do all the stuff that it does to keep working. But yeah, it's important to do. I mean, obviously, if you just go into Claude and start something and you don't have any kind of protection or anything, you're going to hit limits. I'm on the $200 a month plan, which is plenty for me. And like I said, I really don't hit any type of limits, at least so far. So, and this was a pretty big project, obviously. So then it comes back, what's next, what needs to be going, production hardening. This is always this stuff, plate access tokens. This is how we keep everything secure. Roles and permissions. Continue. I'm almost at the end here, I think. My dog's barking.
Building the next bookkeeping, like international bookkeeping app here, Terry.
Yeah, it's crazy. This thing, it actually is way more than what it was before. So, okay, so that's the end of the Claude. Okay, so now I take the files and I put them into Replit. So hold on, I have Replits open. Bear with me a second here. I named this thing kind of funky too. There it is. Okay. All right. So then, do you still see my screen? Did it change? Okay. Yeah. So then I put it all into Replit. Okay. So, and then Replit will come up and start building this thing. So one of the things that at least that I do, once you start putting it into Replit or Lovable, whatever you're going to do, after it loads and comes up with the initial project and it understands it, I always ask it to upgrade to all the latest Replit upgrades. Okay. Because a lot of things, especially Claude's really good at knowing how up-to-date Replit is. But I've had apps go in and it'll use something of Replit's that's 2 versions old or whatever. So I just learned through the process that I want to use all the most updated softwares that any of these tools have, because I don't want to work on something that's 6 months or 10 months old. But when you start building this thing, then you can come out and do some different things. So hold on here. Let's see what this is. I just woke this up, so it's might not be awake yet. I can show you what it built though. But the cool thing about these things is you always want to make sure that when you're doing these things, you really make it stay, this one especially, you really make it stay within its lane. This thing really started going into stuff that I really didn't care to even go into yet. Maybe phase 2 or 3 or whatever. I don't know why stick is on. All right, so this is what it built. So, and this is all dummy content. You guys I can't show my live version because then you'll see my numbers. But everything in here, so basically it's for all 3 of my companies. So, so I just opened up a 4th one at my software division. So this thing will keep track of all the different things. I can keep track of all the different entities, what each entity is doing, cash on hand. Pro forma is really big for me because I like to forecast. So if my revenue is going to jump from A to B, do I need to hire more people? Do I need to implement more things? Do I need to add another seat somewhere? All these different things that I need to make sure I can go through is all done through the pro forma section. And it, like I said, it'll just, once I put numbers in, this thing is set up for one-way sync. So one-way sync, it'll sync to the bank account at midnight. It'll sync to PayPal at midnight. It'll sync to Stripe at midnight. I think that's it. I think, yeah, because I don't have very many. I got most of my stuff's in the bank accounts, but I've got, 4 or 5 different bank accounts for each company. So all this is going to keep track of all this stuff. So this was one of the systems that I kind of say this, I was kind of forced to build this system, mainly because I couldn't get this data. I'm an old spreadsheet guy, so my pro formas were all on spreadsheets. Hey, if I get, 6 more clients this month, what does that look like for my employees? Do I need to hire a new project manager? All those type of things. So this system does all this stuff. So one of the things that, it'll go through, it'll keep track of all your transactions. It'll do all your sales. It'll do all your vendors, so it keeps track of all this shit. But this is the stuff that I started building in Claude, just asking it questions. I'm not a finance guy. I don't know half of the shit this thing put in here. That's why I had it, especially down here. Let me show you this real quick. Consolidations. Where's it at? Credit cards and loans. Anyway, hold on here. Here it is. Tax and compliance. So I don't know anything about tax and compliance, but I definitely want to know my estimated tax on a quarterly basis. And the cool thing was when it started doing this stuff and I didn't know something, I would just say, hey, explain what this is at the top. So a PBC list is prepared by client. Every document the close needs from the client bank statements. So it just kind of tells you what you're doing here and all this good crap. But this is just the type of things that you can build, and you can build, again, you got to have an end goal. If you're building stuff just to build stuff, like I saw when I logged on to you guys were doing some stuff about, different taking videos and doing different things. I haven't even gone down that rabbit hole because I think that's such an important thing. That what you guys are doing, taking this podcast and now not necessarily monetizing it, but taking it out and just blowing it up all over the internet. And that's what everybody needs to be doing right now. So when you're thinking about what to build, how to build it, all this different stuff, I recommend look at your own processes first. Right now I've probably saved out of all the tools, I've probably saved about $6,000 a month in monthly fees, just the tools that we built. So that's obviously a big ROI. So, when you start to do these things and start to figure it out, and then you have people like you guys and we have conversations and people come up with different ideas to do different things for different reasons, that's where it gets really, really, really cool. So I also encourage people to find other people like us, and bounce ideas off us. I'm telling you right now, my students, they'll come to me with ideas and some of them are awesome. And some of them are like, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to build a GBP, bubble tool? There's all kinds of local ranking tools out there, and they're not that expensive. Why do you want to build your own? If you want to do it just to do it, hey, go for it. But you need to understand too, there's a cost involved with that. If you ever want to know how much those type of tools cost, talk to Patrick Shannon, who owns LeadSnap. He's happy to tell you about his hard costs every single month for that software. So
yeah, I think on that, where you're talking about the networking side of things and listening to others that have been through and got the scars in business and wasted money or built out kind of AI tools already, and they're like, sometimes it's not even about new ideas. It's about having a no man in your life, having someone to tell you, like you said, I don't think that's a good idea. And that could then save him. It might only be a week worth of development time, but it's a week worth of time where they could have put that time and effort into something that is going to work or got a better chance